the portion of the show where I go on a little bit of a rant. It's early, so I'm not going to get too fired up. But
All right.
this is no knock on Myles Garett, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
he's a tremendous player in his own right. But him winning Defensive Player of the Year over TJ Watt. Let's wait a second. Let's look at some stats, okay? Tackles, solo tackles, tackles for loss, sacks, quarterback hits, same amount of forced fumbles, okay? Fumble recoveries, passes defensed, interceptions, touchdowns, takeaways. Myles Garett didn't win those. TJ Watt did. And he didn't win Defensive Player of the Year. The one thing I could say about Garrett would be for the fact that the Browns had a better record by a single game this year. Not saying Myles Garett never deserves to win Defensive Player of the Year, but like, what are we doing? TJ Watt's the best defensive player. And if you want one other argument for me, let's go look at the last 4 games and the production at the end of the season when it is vital that you're playing at your highest level. Go look at those stats too. I rest my case.
Yeah, shout out to Myles Garett, man, for winning, Defensive Player of the Year. But from your perspective and my perspective, Mark, I mean, if you're just talking about all the categories and out of all them categories, TJ Watt pretty much leading all the categories. I mean, a few of them categories you're talking about, batted balls, touchdowns, interceptions, you would think that you're talking about a safety, inside linebacker, or a cornerback. No, we're talking about outside linebacker, edge rusher getting to the quarterback, and TJ Watt and his stats. When you're talking about a team and who's in a team record, when they playing, when they're not playing, the most valuable person on that team, you're talking about TJ Watt. When you're talking about when he comes in the game, when you're looking for a play, regardless on what time it is, and usually it's a crucial time, you're talking about TJ Watt. If you don't want to if you don't think the man can go back to back, if you say TJ Watt ain't gonna do in 23 when he did in 22, and you don't want to give it to him, just say you don't want to give it to him because he gave you stats plus more, and played better than he did the year that he won the Defensive Player of the Year before. But for me, man, it was a no-brainer in my mind, and this is no disrespect to Myles Garett. I'm just saying, man, the most valuable person on that team was TJ Watt. And when you want the most valuable person to play like the most valuable player on your team consistently, it's TJ Watt. So when you just look at the production, not even the production, the body of work throughout the league, the chips. What I mean by the chips, the tight ends lining up on his sides, the running backs lining up on his sides, just to slow him down, and he's still having these kind of stats. When you look at the Monday night football games, the Thursday night football games, the primetime football games, and you're like, man, Pittsburgh Steelers offense was struggling at the moment, man. Who gonna make a play? Who gonna score on defense is TJ Watt. When you look at trying to, change the momentum consistently week after week after week after week, getting to the quarterback. When you just look at it from an offensive coordinator standpoint, Mark, you was like, all right, we're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who do we need to stop on defense? And you still can't stop him. His name is TJ Watt. So it's not like you're going into the building when you see the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. It's one guy we're going to have to stop, and it's going to be TJ. And you still can't stop this dude. But just over his consistency and his body of work, and like we were saying throughout the year, Mark, just over his stats and what the man have done, you think we're talking about a corner or inside linebacker or a safety position when it comes down to some of them stats on that list. No, we're talking about TJ Watt. So yeah, they can say what they want to say, but in my mind, and this is no disrespect to Myles, but in my mind, TJ won it all day.
There's a bigger discussion I want to have about this really briefly, Ike. You mentioned chips. Have you seen the movie Rounders with Matt
Mm-hmm.
Damon, Edward Norton?
Mm-hmm.
There's a line in that movie where, poker movie, Matt Damon says something along the lines of, you don't lose if you don't put your chips in the middle, but you can't win a lot either. And there's times you have to go all in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that moment is for the Pittsburgh Steelers to go all in, but what I would say is this. They have the best defensive player and one of the best players in all of football on their roster, producing at a very high level right now in TJ Watt. The reality is, though, he hasn't won a playoff game yet. And at what point in time do you say, you know what, we're going all in? and we're going to go and do what we need to do and be aggressive as an organization to go on and try to win a Super Bowl and win number 7. I don't know what that moment is. I don't think you can be hasty in being overly aggressive to where then you don't get it done. And you see, there's a bill to pay for that meal, Ike. We saw it with the Rams when they got rid of all their draft picks and it was cool and they had all this talent. And then you got to pay everybody too. I don't know what that moment is. The one thing missing with TJ Watt right now would be the playoff success. But I'll say this too. If he keeps performing at the level that he has with 20 plus sacks a year for the next 3 years, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. So at what point do you go all in? That's what I'm looking at this from a bigger picture standpoint, even though right now we're arguing that, I don't think, I think it's a joke that he didn't win this award over Myles Garrett just because of what voter fatigue. We're tired of awarding greatness year in, year out. No, it happened to Michael Jordan too. It happens to a lot of the greats. Michael Jordan with the league MVP. Go and look at that. The 97 season with Karl Malone. I get that we get bored of voting for the same guy year after year after year. But I don't even understand what the argument is with Garrett other than to say, okay, yeah, the Browns were better by a game. Come on.
Yeah, that flame kind of went out the last 5 games of the season for Myles too. When it comes down to production, that flame ain't never went out for TJ when it came down to production. Like actually towards the end of the season, TJ flame kind of like got hotter, and that's exactly when you need your flame to get hotter, leading up towards the end of the season, trying to make a push for that playoff. It's TJ made enough plays for the NFL to be like, God damn, this dude is the best in the world at his position. I ain't even talking about the best player on the field. I'm talking about the best in the world, and let alone the best player on the field. He has that quarterback impact. He just so happened to play outside linebacker.
Did I land the plane, Ike, with the analogy with rounders?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you snuck that in. I did. I like that. But yeah, TJ just different, bro. I think Coach T called him an alien for sure. He's definitely an alien, and you can't say that about too many people. It just so happened we got 2 of them, but I don't want to get off script.